In today's video, we are diving deep into one of the most talked about Lincoln cents from the modern era. The United States of America 1-cent coin from 1972 without any mint mark. A coin that may look simple at first glance, but carries a fascinating story that collectors around the world continue to discuss. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and because Philadelphia did not use a mint mark on cents in that time period, the absence of a mint mark is completely normal. Yet collectors still study these coins carefully because certain varieties and conditions can significantly affect their market value. The 1972 cent comes from a year rich with production, with billions of coins minted, but even with that high mintage, finding clean, well-preserved pieces in fine condition or better is becoming harder as time passes. And that is exactly why collectors keep an eye on this date. Of the coin features the classic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, a design first introduced in 1909 and still used today, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. On the reverse side, you see the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo, representing American strength, heritage, and national pride. When it comes to fine condition specifically, the details on Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat remain visible but not sharp. Likewise, on the reverse, the lines of the memorial show moderate wear but the overall structure remains clear. Collectors typically want coins that have no heavy scratches, no deep nicks, no corrosion, and no major discoloration. And while fine condition is not a high grade, it is still an acceptable collectible grade when preserved properly. Now let's come to the part collectors always want to know: the value of the 1972 no-mint mark 1 cent in today's market. In fine condition, the coin holds mostly sentimental and historical value rather than substantial monetary value because of the extremely high mintage. In the general collector market today, a regular 1972 Lincoln cent without any special variety sells for around a few cents, typically between 5 cents to 15 cents depending on the buyer, market demand, and how clean the coin appears. Some buyers may pay up to 25 cents if the coin has exceptional eye appeal even in lower grades, but for fine condition the price usually remains modest. However, the story becomes much more exciting when we talk about special era varieties, especially the famous 1972 double die obverse, known as the DDO, which can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars in high grades. But because you are specifically discussing the regular 1972 Philadelphia no-mint mark cent in fine condition, the realistic market price stays low, as the rarer varieties are separate from the standard circulation strike. Even though the value is not high, collectors still appreciate these coins because they represent the long history of the Lincoln cent and because they help new collectors learn grading, preservation, and the difference between regular strikes and varieties. Many people find these coins in old collections, inherited coin jars, or even pocket change, and discovering a clean piece from the early 1970s always sparks curiosity. The copper content of the 1972 cent also adds interest, as these coins were still made from 95% copper, a composition that holds intrinsic metal value with collectors who appreciate pre-1982 cents. In conclusion, the 1972 United States 1-cent coin without a mint mark remains an interesting piece for collectors of all levels. Even though in fine condition the market value in today's dollars is generally between a few cents and around 15 cents, its historical value, copper composition, and connection to American numismatic tradition continue to make it a coin worth discussing, studying, and adding to collections. Whether you are a new collector or an experienced numismatist, this coin reminds us that even the most common pieces can carry stories, lessons, and a piece of American history in your hands. If you want, I can also create. The 1981 United States 1-cent coin, commonly known as the Lincoln Memorial cent, is one of the final years in which the classic bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc was used before the major metal change that came in 1982, and because of this historical transition, collectors often like to study and examine 1981 cents closely. A 1981 penny without any mint mark means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and the absence of a mint letter below the date simply identifies its origin. This coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse carries the image of the Lincoln Memorial, an iconic design that was used from 1959 until 2008. Although hundreds of millions of these coins were struck, the value today depends completely on the condition, the overall surface quality, the sharpness of strike, and whether the coin is free from scratches, discoloration, or signs of heavy circulation. In fine condition, the coin usually holds only a small premium, often remaining close to its face value because of the enormous mintage numbers. However, collectors pay more for coins that are in higher grades such as extremely fine, about uncirculated, and especially mint state. A mint state 1981 no-mint mark cent graded MS65 can often sell for several dollars, and if the coin reaches MS66 or MS67 with brilliant luster, clean surfaces, and no contact marks, it becomes much more desirable in the coin market. Some rare examples certified by major grading companies like PCGS or NGC have sold for tens of dollars, and occasionally over $100 if the coin is exceptionally well preserved with strong details and nearly flawless fields. Error varieties also increase value even more, such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, or the rarely seen double die characteristics where the lettering or date appears doubled. These errors can raise the price from just a few dollars to over $100 depending on rarity. Although the 1981 Philadelphia cent is generally common, collectors still enjoy searching through them for exceptional examples because high-grade copper cents become harder to find as years pass due to circulation, wear, and copper discoloration. The coin's reddish luster, original mint brilliance, and the absence of spots or stains make the value climb noticeably. In today's dollar market, a typical fine condition 1981 no-mint mark cent might sell for around a few cents to a small premium, while high-grade uncirculated ones can range from $5 to $25, and extremely rare top-grade certified pieces can reach $50 to $150 depending on the buyer and the grading company. So while the everyday circulated example is common, the truly high-quality examples, error strikes, and copper-red mint state pieces remain attractive to numismatists who appreciate the final era of traditional bronze cents before the shift to copper-plated zinc. If someone has a clean, shiny, uncirculated 1981 no-mint mark penny with full details, strong strike, and original red color, it has real potential to stand out in the coin hobby and bring a higher price among collectors who focus on late memorial copper cents. The 1988 United States Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin is one of the most widely recognized and commonly collected modern pennies, and although billions were produced, collectors still search for high-quality examples, rare errors, and sharp details that stand out from normal circulation pieces. This coin features the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1988, with no mint mark indicating that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, it shows the classic Lincoln Memorial design that was used from 1959 until 2008, and this reverse has become an iconic representation of modern American coinage. Even though the coin is extremely common in everyday circulated condition, many collectors still study it for hidden varieties and quality grading, because modern pennies, despite being recent, can sometimes bring surprisingly strong prices when they are in perfect mint condition. In the normal market, a regular circulated 1988 1-cent coin generally holds a value equal to its face value, only about 1 cent, because so many were produced and most of them survived. However, when the same coin is found in uncirculated condition with bright original luster, clean fields, sharp details, and no wear at all, its value begins to rise. A typical uncirculated example may sell for around 30 cents to $1 depending on how clean the surfaces are. When a coin grades in higher mint state levels, especially MS65, MS66, or MS67, collectors become far more interested, and prices can climb into the tens of dollars or sometimes over $50. Very high-grade 1988 cents certified by professional grading services are not always easy to find because zinc-based cents from the 1980s often develop spots, oxidation, or surface marks that reduce their grade. The most exciting part of the 1988 penny for collectors is the possibility of rare errors. Certain off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, and double die varieties have been discovered in this year, and error collectors pay strong premiums for unusual pieces. Some of the more dramatic errors can sell from $50 to several $100, depending on how extreme the mistake is and how visually impressive it looks. Another important factor is whether the coin shows the rare transitional reverse variety, where a 1988 cent accidentally used the reverse die style meant for the next year. Such rare mismatched die varieties can sometimes sell for very high prices when authenticated. Coins with incorrect minting steps, repunched mint marks on Denver minted examples, and misaligned dies also attract attention in the numismatic community. Even though the 1988 penny is normally considered a common coin, the collector market always gives higher value to coins that show originality, eye appeal, full mint luster, and a lack of scratches or contact marks. Bright red uncirculated examples are always preferred over darker brown or spotted pieces. The difference between a normal circulated penny worth only 1 cent and a perfectly preserved gem quality penny worth many dollars can be dramatic. For people who search coins in bulk, bank rolls, old jars, or inherited collections, the 1988 penny offers a good chance of finding an attractive piece or a rare error, and this keeps the coin interesting even today. Overall, its market value ranges from 1 cent for normal circulated condition, about 30 cents to $1 for uncirculated pieces, and much higher prices for rare varieties and certified high-grade examples. The 1993 Lincoln Memorial Cent was struck in very large numbers at the United States Mint, with over 5.68 billion produced at Philadelphia, no mint mark, and over 6.42 billion at Denver, with D mint mark, according to coin value sources. Because of such huge mintage figures, the vast majority of 1993 pennies that you encounter in circulation have only face value worth 1 cent and are very common. As a modern zinc core, copper-plated coin, the composition is lighter than older bronze pennies and more susceptible to wear, discoloration, and damage. When assessing value, the most important factors are condition, grade, color/surface state, for example red uncirculated versus brown circulated, mint mark, and whether there are any error or variety features, such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, close AM varieties, etc. For example, in standard circulated condition, the coin is typically worth just a few cents or maybe a few tenths of a dollar. One standard guide lists a circulated 1993, no mint mark, as about 14 cents USD, in good condition, rising to about $18.21 in a high uncirculated mint state. In uncirculated condition, especially with original red color, RD, little or no contact marks, full luster and sharp strike, values increase. One reference estimates for the 1993 P. Philadelphia, no mint mark, in uncirculated condition a value $0.36 or more, in mint state condition. Likewise, the 1993 D. Denver, in high mint state grades will trade at somewhat higher premiums though still modest unless extremely high grade or with a special variety. Significantly higher values come into play only when the coin has one of the rarer error or variety characteristics. For example, some listings show 1993 pennies with close AM die varieties, doubled die obverse, doubled die reverse, off-center strikes, etc., with asking prices from hundreds of USD. One article mentions that a 1993 penny with a certain mule error sold for over 50,000 US dollars. If you are evaluating such a coin in your possession, you should check. Which mint mark is present? None for Philadelphia, D for Denver. The overall surface. Is it red, red-brown, or brown? The red coins, meaning original copper red color, are more desirable. Are there any visible doubling in the date, mint mark letters, Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, 1 cent? Any unusual die breaks, off-center strike, weak strike, lamination flaws, planchet errors, or other anomalies? The condition, whether it shows where circulated or appears untouched, uncirculated. Certification by a recognized grading service adds value and trust. To summarize, for a typical 1993 Lincoln Memorial Cent in circulated condition, the value remains at or near face value. For uncirculated gem quality coins with original red color, you might expect a few dollars. For coins with certified very high grade and rare error/variety features, the value can climb significantly, potentially hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on the rarity and condition. The 2001 Lincoln Memorial Cent was struck in very large numbers, with about 4,959,600,000 produced at the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, and about 5,374,990,000 produced at the Denver Mint, with D mint mark. Because of these massive mintages, the coin is common in everyday circulation and carries only minimal value above face value in standard grades. According to reference price guides, a 2001 P Philadelphia, in uncirculated mint state, might be valued at about US 36 cents or more for MS Plus condition, meaning mint state plus, in basic red uncirculated form. For the 2001 D Denver version, similar valuations are given, about US 36 cents or more for an uncirculated specimen in the basic category. In lower grades, circulated coins, the value of the coin is essentially its face value of 1 cent, perhaps a few cents at best if in a nicer than average condition. However, the real interest from collectors comes when the coin exhibits superior condition, high grade, full original red color, minimal marks, or has a minting error or special variety. In higher grade mint state conditions, for example MS65, MS66 and above, one sees higher premiums. For example, grading services note that the 2001 D penny is common up to about MS65 in circulation, and even MS66 to MS67 exist in mint sets or mint bags. Moreover, for error coins and varieties the values can escalate dramatically. For instance, a site lists that a 2001 P penny with a major die crack error, running from Lincoln's shoulder to the rim, graded MS66 sold for about US $875 at auction. Off-center strikes of 50% or more can reach up to about US $100 for 2001 pennies, while smaller off-center errors, 5%, might fetch up to about US $10. Thus, while most examples remain at face value, there is always the possibility that one holds a much more valuable piece if it is unusually well preserved or has a major mint error. In summary, for a standard 2001 Lincoln Memorial cent, in everyday circulated condition the value in the U.S. is basically 1 cent or maybe a few cents. For an uncirculated red specimen in good mint state, you might expect around US $0.30 to $1, or somewhat more, depending on condition and eye appeal. For coins with certified high grade or rare error/variety status, the value can reach hundreds of dollars, or even more depending on the nature of the error and the market demand.